Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Darshawn McAway. You're tuned in to Wowpodcast. By all means, go to wowpodcast.me. That's WOWPODCAST.me. Now, today we have a special guest. We have Sarah Udoh GrossFurthner. She's here to talk to us about her latest book, The Old Woman Who Refused to Die. Sarah, how are you doing?
I'm very well, Dashan. Thank you very much for having me.
So tell us about your latest book.
The Old Woman Who Refused to Die is actually was published about two years ago, self-published, and it's about the importance of finding your voice. It's about self-realization and the importance of finding your voice, developing that voice, and owning it. In a nutshell, that's what, yeah.
So when did you start writing this book?
I started writing the book about 4 years ago, like I said, and I published it, self-published it about 2 years ago. And so that's, you could say, approximately 4 years ago.
Okay. And so I like to ask people this question, and this is a part of the whole Wow podcast theme. Why is this book so important to you?
Well, as I said, or rather, like I said, the book is about self-realization and the importance of finding and developing your voice and owning it. And it's important to me because it's really always all about the voice. Whatever we do in life, whatever we hope to achieve, it's about that voice, and your voice is your identity. So if you're not able to have that voice to speak it out, then what are you doing? What are you trying to achieve? And so really, it's really about finding your voice. This is why it's important to me, because at some point in my life, I also had a problem with finding my voice. So when I eventually did find my voice, I realized the importance of having that voice. And so, yeah.
So what inspired you to write this book?
Well, I was inspired because I come from a society. I'm from Nigeria, by the way. I come from a society where oftentimes women were expected to be seen, not heard. And so I wrote this book about the old woman who refused to die. In her own time, she also faced this problem of, she had a voice and she wanted to have that voice heard. She needed to have that voice heard. But because of the time and place that she was in and the society that she came from, she had to struggle to get that voice. And so when she did it in a way, she was not educated. I mean, she was not intellectually educated, but somehow she managed to get herself educated to understand what was going on beyond even the four walls of community. And so she tried to, now her granddaughter, basically what the old woman who refused to die, the granddaughter is getting married, and she would like she would like to give this gift to her granddaughter, and she wants to give her a gift that's just beyond the material. And so she's trying to teach this granddaughter the things that she learned in her own time so that the granddaughter would not make the same mistake. She's trying to teach the granddaughter how to have a voice, how to sustain that voice, and how to own that voice through stories that she told the granddaughter and the morals of the stories.
So this is just my curiosity. Is this particular book, is it based off a true story?
Well, in a way, it's a bit, not completely a true story, but it's kind of woven around my grandmother. My grandmother had a lot of influence in my life. I was impacted by her. As I said, actually, in my upcoming book, From Fearful to Fierce, you understand why I had to weave the story around her, because my grandmother also was not educated in terms of, book educated, but she was an extremely wise woman. And she coached me through a time that was very difficult for me. And she made me believe in my voice. She made me know that I had a voice and that I should use that voice. And at times when I thought I was not worthy, she made me know that I was worthy, in spite of, obstacles that I'd had to overcome, even as a young child. She instilled in me the importance of self-worth. And so I wove this From Fearful to Fierce, The Old Woman Who Refused to Die. I wove it around my grandmother, but then I took it up a notch in From Fearful to Fierce, because that's actually a true life story. Yeah.
Gotcha. So you mentioned these other books. Tell me about your other books.
Well, I have one called Betty Calls Me Blessed When the Unbelievable Happens to Believers. So sort of like self-explanatory. And so that one basically asks the question, why are some people made better by the same experience or experiences that render other people bitter? What makes the difference between being better as a result of some trials that that you have gone through, and becoming better, not just for yourself, or being better, not just for yourself, but the society in which you find yourself. So that's from Betty Calls Me Blessed When the Unbelievable Happens to Believers. And it's the true life story of really 5 ordinary everyday women with really extraordinary faith, with strong, extraordinary faith. That's Betty Calls Me Blessed. And the next one, sorry, I'm sorry. No, I was going to say you wanted to know about all my other books. And so the next one is From Fearful to Fierce. Like I said, this one is the true life story. It's the true life story of, and it's woven also around my grandmother. Again, she had a lot of influence in my life. So it's around my grandmother and how she coached me through a very difficult time in my life. And I was only 8 really then. So you can, I lost my grandmother about 20 years ago, but yeah, she was a strong influence in my life. So From Fearful to Fierce is coming. Actually, I'm chronicling that story right now on a site called medium.com. It's actually a site for publishers. I'm sure a lot of people out there know about it. It's a site for artists, publishers, and all kinds of things. Really amazing. So I'm chronicling that story and it's called, just look for them, From Fearful to Fierce.
Got you. So, I like to ask this question. What do you want people to know about you?
Oh, well, I think that what I want people to know about me, really, maybe through all of this, because all of my stories, all of my books, they have one overriding term, and that is always the importance of voice, of having your voice. And I want people to know through the work that I do, the importance of resilience, that you can. I mean, you are going to fall, but the importance of not falling, but not staying on the ground, on the floor. You fall, you get up. You fall, you get up. And if you do that often enough, believe me, you're going to get where you're going. So that's basically what I would like people to know from all of these stories that I'm putting out about the importance of falling and getting up. I'm not letting yourself stay down, basically.
Right.
Whatever you might, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you have a YouTube channel?
Oh, yes. That's something that I actually started recently. And I was just sitting down and playing with it because I'm a mother. I'm a mother with 2 kids. And I've learned a lot of the things that I learned from my grandmother, again, back to my grandmother. I used to call her Ne, but in my story, I call her Nana. And so a lot of the things I learned from her, I think they are really, really so amazing. And I'm taking that, I'm putting it in the YouTube channel again and simply calling it Things African Mothers Should Not Say to Their Children. So it's really built around motherhood and parenting advice, taking a little bit of what I've learned and what the things that have served me. I mean, my kids sometimes say, well, if kids tell you, mother, you're a good mother. Well, you've done your work in a bit. So I'm building it around that. So my YouTube channel is called the Things African Mothers Should Not Say to Their Children. Yeah.
Got you. Mm-hmm. Well, let's tell everybody where they can go to follow you on social media and purchase your book.
Oh, well, you can buy my books from Amazon.com, and the name is Sarah Udoh GrossFurthner. And so you can get the book, But He Calls Me Blessed When the Unbelievable Happens to Believers. Then you have The Old Woman Who Refused to Die. That's also on Amazon. And then to follow my story, my upcoming book, From Fearful to Fierce, Chronicle of My Life, you can find me that on medium.com. And then, of course, you can also find me on LinkedIn, and it's all Sarah Udoh GrossFurthner. I am on Instagram and on Facebook, the same name, Sarah Udoh GrossFurthner. It's an unusual name, so not likely to forget.
Well, I'm your host, Darshawn McQuay. Thank you for tuning in to Wowpodcast.
Thank you so much.
It was such a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you so much, Darshawn. It was just lovely coming on here and sharing a bit about what I do, my thoughts and my dreams. Thank you.
Great. I greatly appreciate it.